about the open forest protocol and what we're doing to bridge between climate and blockchain and crypto. And I think there'll be some really cool connections between the work that we're doing and some of the stuff with BIN and charged particles. Working with NFTs, we're kind of doing something similar with NFTs and climate monitoring. So let's get into it. It's a journey. Let's buckle up. So to begin is the recognition that climate change is an existential crisis. You hear that a lot. It's a scary word. But when we hear that, we see the potential for solutions. One of the biggest solutions, potential solutions for climate change, is through the restoration of our planet's ecosystems, usually through processes known as nature-based climate solutions. So nature-based climate solutions have a massive potential to reduce the emissions necessary to prevent catastrophic damage and warming from climate change. So they have potential to reduce 33% of the emissions necessary. And there's a massive amount of land that is available for restoration today. It's degraded land, and different types of restoration include different types of things. What we're primarily going to focus on is reforestation and other types of forestation processes. So the potential of forests in this space is pretty massive. So there's approximately 8.9 million square kilometers of land that can be reforested, planted with trees, and restored today with no impact to urban or agricultural centers. This is a little bit less than the land area of China. Additionally, there's $1 trillion of capital committed towards nature-based solutions through private organizations and governments all around the world by 2030. There's a massive amount of land that has yet to be reforested, and we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of projects that are doing the work of planting trees on land that either was degraded or has never had trees on it before. And what these projects are doing is they're taking the carbon out of the atmosphere and storing it in the biomass of these trees. And what they can do with that is they can quantify the amount of carbon that we're taking out of the atmosphere and storing in these trees. And sometimes we can put a price on that. So those are things called carbon credits, whenever you quantify the amount of carbon that you're taking out of one carbon pool. And the markets that are involved in the trading of these carbon products are expected to increase dramatically in the next few years. So there's lots of statistics out there for a radical increase in the demand for these products. So there's lots of potential in these forests, but there's a lot of things holding these back as well. And some of the major problems that we've identified by working on the ground with forests is a lack of access to what we call as measurement, reporting, and verification. So MRV is the acronym for that. Leads to a lack of transparency, which makes sense. If you can't report on what's going on a rainforest in the middle of the Congo Basin, it's going to be hard to know if your money that you invested in that project is being put to good use. Additionally, on top of that, there's lack of the generated carbon credits, that quantifiable amount of carbon stored in those trees. So this also results in a lot of lack of standardization among different projects, which is critical to get people on board to understand how to finance these projects that are really important in stopping climate change. So we come in, we see the opportunity to provide a system for better managing this MRV, this measurement, reporting, and verification. So what we're building is a protocol for these nature-based solutions like reforestation programs and platforms. And we essentially produce an entire natively blockchain interoperable platform for these projects to connect into. So all of their data that they record in the field and all of the validation, the verification of that data occurs on chain. There's no other process that does it like this. And what this enables is a completely decentralized monitoring system for ecosystems all around the world. How this works is pretty easy steps. It's pretty straightforward. We have project operators who are the people on the ground planting trees. They upload forest data. We have a suite of tools to help them do this, like a mobile app. We have a web app dashboard for them to upload and manage the data app. And then they send all of this data to a distributed group of validators. So validators are not validator nodes. They're more like environmental engineering companies, GIS satellite companies, local governments who are looking at this data on the ground and saying, okay, yeah, that looks legit compared to the historical comparison or compared to this proprietary satellite data that I'm looking at. So this way we bring together this community of stakeholders who are all assessing the legitimacy of this data. And then after these validators are looking at the data that's all been through this web app, the decision of that validation, as well as all of the data, is put on chain and stored within the metadata of each individual project. So there's a few different components to this. I mentioned we have a mobile app that's on the Google Play Market right now. We're releasing iOS pretty soon. We also have a web app that's connected to the blockchain. We're building on Near protocol. I'll get into that in a second. And all of this information is stored on-chain after being passed through validation. We also have a native cryptocurrency asset that manages this protocol. So in this way, it is entirely blockchain native. We're going to decentralize this and make this a completely scalable solution for nature-based climate solutions. So a little bit about the token. It's a utility token. It's used for the validation of this project data, as well as a few other things. We're going to be integrating it into our DAO for the community governance, for the management of the protocol going forward, and it'll also be able to yield a percentage of the ecosystem benefits that are generated from these projects on the ground, so any tokenized assets that come from those projects. So, there's a massive amount of value that can be potentially yielded from these tokens. Additionally, mentioned building on Near protocol. So Near protocol, if you're unfamiliar, is a sharded proof of stake blockchain. They are a pretty awesome community to be involved with. Our project would look fundamentally different if it was built on anything else for a few reasons. Proof of stake, sharded blockchain, low transaction fees, pretty easy to manage, very easy to connect into. It's using third-gen tech, so they integrate human-readable addresses in all of the Near account IDs. So whenever you create a Near account, it's integrated with your wallet. You deploy the smart contract. You can permission that account to be able to interact with other applications like ours. So any user of our protocol creates a Near account, and then the projects that they register on our protocol through our web app are actually NFTs. So we create NFTs for them that hold all of the project data within it throughout the lifetime of the project. So for the next 100, 200 years, these NFTs are going to be appended after each data upload, containing the history of all of the forests going forward, including anything that they are deriving, any ecosystem benefits or things like that. So through this way, we make this a really insane and awesome way to put the value creation that's occurring in these forests and in these future markets into the hands of the projects that are using it. So this is a really amazing tool to increase local indigenous population involvement, as well as just create a more scalable solution for this sort of stuff. So looking forward, we're hoping we will be decentralizing, and we're hoping to build out new protocols, or hopefully other people will be able to build on and plug in. Some of those include perhaps an on-chain carbon standard to quantify the amount of carbon that is being stored in those trees. So it should be pretty easy to do. We have the field data for that. We'll also be creating financing mechanisms for these projects, creating direct funding mechanisms into them, and it will be trustworthy insofar as it will be facilitated by blockchain, but backed up by all of the data that they are reporting. We'll have a DAO based on your Sputnik DAO system. Carbon decentralized exchange and DeFi integration will allow the transaction of the carbon credits created on our protocol to be transacted pretty easily. And on top of that, we're going to be able to integrate. We're open sourcing this. So if a satellite provider wants to plug in their satellite stuff to integrate into our dashboard automatically, they can do that, or license out the technology. If you're a drone video footage operator or LiDAR provider, you can plug into our protocol relatively easily and provide your services directly to users who need it. And we're doing good stuff with it. So this is our team. We have an amazing team that's bridging the gap between the climate and the blockchain worlds. We have crypto and blockchain, enterprise blockchain entrepreneurs. We have climate scientists. We have people involved in the reforestation industry. We have an awesome team of developers. Inc4, if you went to NearCon this year, they were highlighted there. They're a fantastic development crew. So we're working really closely with them and making a lot of progress. So this is, there's no map there. Just imagine the globe. We have a few headquarters, a few key partners. Of course, Near Protocol, C4, Center for International Forestry, as well as On a Mission, a reforestation NGO based out of Switzerland. So if you have any questions, we are beginning our private fundraise. So if you have any questions or want to get involved, contribute at all to this protocol, we'll be right back in that corner if you want to chat. But otherwise, hit us up on openforestprotocol.org, or you can send me an email at openforestprotocol.org. So thank you so much, everybody, and let me know if you have any questions. We'll be in the back. So thank you.
Don't leave yet.
All right.
I know, I like to keep it spicy up here.
Unexpected. Do it.
So I have been asking throughout the day, because I think it's really important to hear from the person, what has inspired you to be a part of this project? What has inspired you to even be in crypto to begin with? You can start with crypto to begin with and then go to project.
Absolutely. Well, honestly, I came through this from the climate side. So I'm a huge outdoors person. I love camping. I was working in commercial real estate before this, a little bit different with financial modeling and things like that. But that primarily involves, it's a beautiful industry. I love it dearly, but it involves a bit different relationship to land than reforestation projects do. And so always wanted to delve into this, and the opportunity to apply a climate project ability to apply blockchain to a climate project was really the dream. So I guess my introduction to crypto was a while back when I had a friend who got kicked out of his apartment for mining Bitcoin and using up their electricity. So I mean, this is a real world use case. We're applying blockchain to a real world use case of helping fight climate change. So I mean, whenever I heard about this and got on board and started to build it, there's no better incentive.
I love that. It just makes sense. It just makes sense to you, and it makes sense to the values that you hold as a person. Leave us, because this is a spicy stage, this is the alpha stage. What kind of, first, two questions, two-part. What alpha can you give us on your company, any roadmap, anything that you can tell us, anything we can be excited about, look for the future?
Absolutely, thank you. So we just launched beta. So we're beta testing right now. We're getting users on board. We're in talks with several companies. We were at COP26. Not companies, countries. We were at COP26 talking to a lot of environmental engineering companies as well as entire countries to apply this to their forest monitoring systems. So our process right now is getting users on board, getting their feedback. We're looking for a mainnet launch in Q2 of 2022. And again, we're beginning our private fundraise. So,
How can I be involved? First off, how can I support the project? How can I be involved? How can I test out this beta test? Where do you send it?
Yeah, drop a link, openforestprotocol.org. We have a great intake. If you want to get involved, just link your email, we'll reach out to you.
Join the Telegram.
Yeah, Telegram. We also got Telegram, Open Forest Protocol. We're on all socials, so hit us up, LinkedIn, Twitter, all that stuff.
Are you on crypto Twitter?
Are we on crypto? Yes,
We're on crypto Twitter.
Community manager.
I love that. Okay, community manager, maybe this is a question for you. What is your favorite crypto Twitter word?
GMI.
Oh, GMI. I love it. You gotta keep it spicy. You gotta say something. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you. Give them a round of applause, please.
Thank you, everyone.